everyone? Jason Gilbo here with Nick Tasso breaking down some top stacking options for tonight's slate. I don't know about you, but it was kind of tough for me to even pick out three. I mean, we obviously have cores, but I actually barely found three. I don't know if I really want to stack anything more.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. You have a lot of big names on this slate for pitchers, and then you have just middle of the road guys, but a lot of those guys aren't completely terrible. So it was kind of a tough thing to find.
Yeah, it was. Let's talk cores real quick. Kyle Freeland versus Vince Velasquez. This is one where I think I'm just if you're stacking this game, it's obviously the Rockies. I think the Phillies are just more one-off plays.
Yeah, absolutely. I like guys like Herrera and even Altura, but besides that, I'm not a huge fan of the Phillies. So I kind of agree with you. One or two guys here, but no more than that.
Yeah, and Rockies, it's your usual stack away, 1 through 6, 1 through 7.
Yeah, have no issues with that.
So let's talk Texas. That was a team that we agreed on here going up against Bartolo Colon. Yeah, they're outside of, ballpark in Arlington, but this is still a pretty decent stadium at this time of the year. And we're getting Bartolo Colon.
Yeah, absolutely. There really doesn't need to be much more said about that. Cologne, who has come out earlier and said that he was thinking about retiring, I feel like he probably should have. But you know what? He still needs money apparently, and he keeps throwing every 5 days or so. And it's just the results just aren't there. Yeah, he hasn't given up too many runs, but he just gives up a bunch of hits. And when you do that in decent ballparks, it's going to kind of not go your way.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cologne, 407 WOBA to righties, 390 WOBA to lefties, over 200 WOBA allowed. The one thing with this Texas team that's tricky is you kind of have to make two stacks to cover all the bases because it's just really 1 through 8, 1 through 9 that they're really in play. Because you have guys in the bottom of the order. I mean, Joey Gallo keeps crushing the ball, Carlos Gomez, even Robinson Chirinos, so I don't mind. Like, I'm probably going to have two versions of this stack.
Yeah, I can see that because you got, like you said, you got guys down there like Joey Gallo, who's just phenomenal at times, but can also go for 4. So it's not easy to just put all your eggs in one basket with him. So that's kind of unfortunate. Plus, too, even though I do like this stack, I am a little hesitant. Texas on the road, their numbers overall aren't great, but at the end of the day, it's still a good ballpark in Minnesota, and it's against a terrible pitcher. So you got to kind of look more into those numbers and just kind of forget about them.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Moving on here, I'm going to talk Houston going up against Toronto. It's in Houston. Offense has kind of cooled off a little bit. Obviously, missing George Springer and Carlos Correa is not going to help that. But this team actually kind of becomes a value stack now. Jose Altuve is obviously more expensive, but some of these other guys are pretty cheap. I mean, Gurriel, Marwin Gonzalez, Beltran McCann, Derek Fisher, and going up against basically a traveling Mexican League pitcher who finally blew up. I mean, it was in due time. I'm kind of curious to see actually why this run total is only at 5 right now. I think it could be a little bit more.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the run totals are kind of small in this slate that I would expect, but I mean, it's just kind of a wait and see. Maybe it goes up, who knows? But I kind of agree with you. There's a lot of opportunities here. You can kind of mix in a few guys. Obviously, throw an Altuve, you must have him basically if you're doing a stack with him. He's just so good. But like you said, you can wait for the lineup and then just put those guys in and just see what happens. The starting pitcher really is bad, as we all know. And it's not going to end well, even though this isn't in Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, under 18% strikeout rate against both sides, 459 WOBA to righties, 324 to lefties, but the expected WOBA is way up. Yeah, I just think Houston, I mean, in play, you can fit them with a reasonably top stack as well, so I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, do a half and half, put 4 guys in, and then put the rest of another team and just see what happens.
Yeah, so who was your second stack?
I was going with the Marlins. They're going up against R.A. Dickey, who actually has looked pretty good since the break. But at the end of the day, he's still R.A. Dickey, kind of in the same boat as Bartolo Colon, even though he throws the knuckleball. There are a lot of right-handers in that Marlins lineup that could really do some damage against them. So I definitely like these guys. It's not a best ballpark in Atlanta, but hey, we've been talking about all year that it's better than last year. So definitely like these guys like Ozuna, and then even some left-handers like D. Gordon could do some stuff against them as well.
Yeah, I definitely with you. I mean, Dickey's one of those guys where it just seems he throws a couple quality starts and then has that big blow up. And we really haven't seen the big blow up in quite some time. I mean, I think the last one was against Washington back in June, but we've seen him give up 6+ earned runs before.
Yeah, absolutely. Going through the numbers, he's had 2 or 3 6 or more. One that he gave up 8 runs. Then there's just a bunch of 4 or more. And it's not just that he gives up runs; he gives up a ton of hits almost every game, regardless of how many runs he's allowed. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities to add cheap kind of fantasy points with these hitters.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like the Marlins here. I think their prices are somewhat up, but I kind of like that because I think it'll keep a lot of people away, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, third stack for me, looking at Boston, this is a team that offense is kind of gotten a little jump start of late. Another good matchup here. Carlos Rodon's one of those guys who's just completely boom or bust. This year, he's just found it troubling. He's walking a ton of guys. Still not a big, ground ball guy. I like the I like the addition of Nunez in this lineup against lefties, even though he's not, a notable lefty masher, but he just gives them another right-handed bat. Curious to see what this lineup looks like. I mean, Devers has been tearing the cover off the ball. I expect him to be in there even with the lefty-on-lefty matchup, but obviously guys like Chris Young, Xander Bogaerts, even though he hasn't shown a ton of power, become playable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even think, too, Hanley Ramirez, who's been awful against lefties this year, still has a lot of potential. So I don't mind throwing him in there. Stinks that Pedroia most likely still going to be out. But just wait and see what the lineup is. Like you said, because of that, Nunez will most likely be at second base, which means they sort of have to play Devers. They don't really have another right-handed bat to play third. So I like this lineup as well.
You know what it's time for?
What's up?
Bonus stack.
Well, can I get my 3?
Oh, yeah, you still got a third one then, yeah.
I mean, I don't have to, but
No, I forgot. Go ahead.
I'll do it quick. It's just Minnesota going up against Texas. Still a good ballpark going up against a pretty weak lefty who's seen a stretch of games where he's given up at least 1 home run. I think about 4 or 5 straight games. I mean, you have Miguel Sano, who obviously has more power on the road, but but I think he still can do some damage against Perez here. Plus, you got Dozier still in there. There are a few lefties that might be troublesome, but just wait and see with this lineup because I think Minnesota can offer you a lot of value with a 13-game slate as well. They're really not going to be highly owned, so throw them in there.
Yeah, no, I like Minnesota there. Now is the time.
All righty. Do you want me to just say who I'm going with?
Yeah, bonus stack. One that made the cut or didn't make the cut.
Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I know that sounds silly, but at the end of the day, this is still Jarrell Cotton, and he's been pretty much atrocious the entire year. And like we were talking about, the Angels have sort of put it all together lately. And look at guys like Mike Trout, obviously, and you have even Andrelton Simmons, who has done pretty well recently, hitting well over 300 at the moment. So I definitely like those guys. Even Pujols has some power. Again, not a good ballpark, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to go with it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, it's definitely one where you could be able to pay up with pitching. You can still get obviously Mike Trout over Pujols, and yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. I think if I'm building stacks, obviously I'm prioritizing a couple of the other ones we mentioned first, but that's kind of why they're the bonus stack.
Absolutely. I'm not telling you to go out and roster 100 lineups with them, but you never know. You roster a couple with them, and you can do a lot of fun things tonight.
Yeah. I think my bonus stack was weirdly Pittsburgh if it plays. I know there's some rain in the area, but going up against Travis Wood, Marte McCutcheon, if Josh Harrison's in the lineup, he'd be interesting, but you're going to get a lot of righties, and I think a lot of cheap righties outside of McCutcheon. And this is a night where I think obviously Travis Wood in that San Diego bullpen, I mean, it could be pretty taxed.
No, I agree with you. They actually almost made my top cut, but then I was like, no, they burned me the other day when I recommended them, so I have to stay away from them at least for a couple games. So I did not choose the Pirates, but I can definitely see your reasoning for it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Wood, 368 Wood with the righties, just a 39% ground ball rate.
Yeah, he's not really good, and at times he was a relief pitcher, so I'm not sure if he's going to go deep. If he struggles, what happens? And then, like you said, that San Diego bullpen could get hit hard. Obviously not an ideal ballpark, but there's really not that many ideal ballparks tonight besides really Coors. There's a few, but yeah, go with the Pittsburgh if you are feeling risky as well.
Yeah, that was my bonus one. Yeah, as you said, I mean, both our kind of bonus stacks are the only thing that's really against them is the ballparks.
Yep.
So that's going to wrap it up. We can enter our dayfantasycafe.com, check out great tools and content.